Yeah. Good. Have a good night.
For 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
My 2 minutes was the old daylight savings time.
Did everybody see the movie in town?
Mhm.
Yeah, that's great.
The
Lots of activity.
church. there,
Church and at the school also.
Is it a nice Hallmark after school special?
No, it's not Hallmark, sorry.
It's a horror, isn't it?
We've
Did you
we've
say
had a
something
few,
about
right?
zombie
Like a
apocalypse,
few
or-
over the last few years, like that
Yeah,
have come
we
in.
had the Cardinal series a couple of years ago
Yeah.
that used Gonville quite a lot.
We
That's
had the
good.
lake
Yeah.
last year.
Yeah, it'd be good to have a list of that. Maybe even
Yeah.
on the website or wherever those movies that were shot. If people
Yeah.
are curious to see.
Okay, I'd like to call a meeting to order and welcome everyone to our meeting. I'd just like to note that our number 12 item will be moved up to 11, and then because of the in-camera session, so our agenda won't be right in order, but we're only moving the item 12 up. I'd like to call a meeting to order. Moved by Councillor Clark, seconded by Councillor McGuinness, that this meeting be opened at 7 p.m. All in favor? Carried. Then we'll have Councillor McGuinness, seconded by Councillor Clark, that the minutes of the special meeting of council held February 28, 2023, and regular meeting of council held February 28, 2023, be adopted as circulated. All in favor? Carried. Oops.
And you don't have to get up.
Any disclosure of pecuniary interest? No. We'll move on to presentations and delegations. First off, we have Scott Gardner for Near North Palliative Care Network.
Thank you very much. As mentioned, my name is Scott Gardner. I am the hospice coordinator with the Near North Palliative Care Network. We are based out of North Bay. First off, I'd like to thank you all for the opportunity to present and speak to you tonight. We are the volunteer visiting hospice for the Nipissing and East Parry Sound regions. Our catchment area stretches from Mattawa in the east to West Nipissing in the west, down to Sundridge Novar, and as far north as Temagami. Our organization provides services such as palliative care support, caregiver respite, grief and bereavement support, as well as adult day programs such as yoga, art workshops, and our new music therapy program. We have served this area for over 35 years now, and all of our services are absolutely free to everyone. We are able to run our services for free because of the amazing work of our volunteers. We are entirely volunteer-based. I'm here this evening to share some statistics with you about the ongoing and worsening crisis in palliative care and aging in Ontario. By 2050, there will be 9.6 million baby boomers in Canada that will have required end-of-life care. And by 2046, 1 in 5 Ontarians will be over the age of 85, which translates to around 4.6 million people. Currently, there are 491 hospice beds in the province and 4,000 hospital palliative care beds in the province. The plan is by 2025-26 that there will be 645 hospice beds. As our executive director is very fond of saying, do the math. 4.6 million people with somewhere in the neighborhood of 5,000 beds. It just doesn't work out. So how can we help to stem the tide of this crisis? Our goal at the Near North Palliative Care Network is to provide our training and resources free of charge to as many people in our catchment area as possible. Even if at the end of the day, they do not become our official volunteer, we want to offer our training to them. Our training includes HPCO training, which is Hospice Palliative Care Ontario training. Our NavCare program, which helps volunteers help our clients by finding them the services and resources that they need, as well as our bereavement and grief support training as well. Why do we want to accomplish this? Well, what we want to do is we want to make sure that as many people in our communities as possible are armed with the knowledge so that when the time comes that we are all able to help our neighbors, our friends, our family members, if and when that time arises. That can be something as simple as running errands, helping them find services that they need, shoveling their driveway, light housekeeping, meal prep, and so on. What does this help to accomplish for us? First off, what it accomplishes is that the person in need gets to stay in their home as long as possible, because who among us doesn't want to be in our home as long as we can? Second thing that this accomplishes, it benefits the primary caregiver, because often the primary caregiver task is given to a family member, maybe a son, a daughter, and they often experience their own health issues, burnout, mental health issues, because of having to be the primary caregiver and the stress that that can bring on. Another thing this benefits is the healthcare system by reducing the number of ER visits and hospital stays, which has both a financial benefit and as well as lightening the load on the precarious and the precious bed space in these hospitals. We are looking to network with leaders of all of our communities in our catchment areas, such as yourselves, to help advocate for our services and to raise awareness of the training and volunteer opportunities that we make available, thus building our volunteer base as well as the number of residents in our communities that have taken the opportunity to receive our training and are ready to pitch in when needed, thus creating, if you will, a small army of volunteers ready to help. How can you and your the leaders of your community help. We are looking to spread the word, if you would, on your website, your social media, if you have email newsletters, helping us network with other organizations in your community where we can leave our flyers, our brochures, hold a volunteer fair, anything that you guys can do to help us get the word out would be greatly appreciated. It's our hope that we can maintain a dialogue with you, the leaders of this community, to discuss ways that we can bring this issue to the forefront of our communities, as well as the opportunities that the Near North Palliative Care Network is making available to anyone and everyone that is interested in being part of a team whose mission it is to see that everyone can live and die with comfort, dignity, and all the support that they need and so richly deserve. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions?
No, I think it's a,
I would like to make a comment. I wasn't aware of the Near North Palliative Care, nor did I know anything about it. And I find this a very interesting presentation. One of the things that I've worked with my career for a number of years, since 1994, was estates in a law firm, and certainly working with in the same area, more or less. But I find that very interesting. And if there's anything that we can do at this point, we certainly will help to promote it.
That's great. And like I said, what we need, our two biggest needs, I tell every council that I appear at, is funding, of course, which every nonprofit has the same problems, and volunteers.
Yes.
Because our volunteer base is starting to age a little bit as well. We've had a lot of the same volunteers with us for 20 plus years. And they're having their own life issues. And so if we get the word out in our communities, and I've spoken at many different councils before tonight, and it has started to pay dividends with volunteer signups, which is great. So again, any way that we can get the word out in this community would be amazing. I have my business card here, which I will leave. And if anyone wants to get in touch with me, you're more than welcome. And yeah, it's a crisis that is ongoing, but it's going to get worse. So we're trying to get in front of it as much as we can to help make sure that we have people in our communities that are ready to help.
Okay, thank you very much.
one quick question, follow up on that. If I
Oh,
could.
sorry.
If somebody in Bonfield wanted to volunteer, but perhaps transportation is an issue, are you able to coordinate volunteers to support local communities? So like somebody living in
Absolutely,
Bonfield?
yes. We try as wherever we can to have our volunteers volunteer in their local communities. That is, we do have some that travel fair distances, but most of our volunteers volunteer where they live. And we even have volunteers that, as I said, are older, don't like traveling in the winter, but we offer services such as friendly phone calls for, seniors that might be socially isolated. We offer over Zoom support sessions as well. So even something as small as talking to someone on the phone for an hour that may be socially isolated. We've had clients that have just told us how much it means to them just to have someone call and talk. It doesn't have to be anything great, just, the weather, what did you do this week? And it makes a huge difference. So yes, there are definitely opportunities for people, and that's what we prefer, to volunteer in your local community, because especially in a community like this and our smaller communities, people know each other already. So yes, that's absolutely what we're aiming for.
That's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry. Do you have any flyers?
We do have brochures. So what I can do is I can put some together in a package and send them here.
Put them at the library.
Yeah, and that's something that we're trying to do, is get our brochures in libraries, community centers, wherever we can. So yes, I will, I'll get some sent up here and that would be great if we could get them distributed.
Dan, did you have a
Nope.
question? No? Okay, thank you very much.
All right, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have a presentation from our CEMC, Alan Reed.
Thank you, Mayor and Council, and good evening. I'm here to present the emergency response plan for our community. It's just a little bit about background and governance and why I'm here doing this. It's part of legislation. There's a requirement under the Emergency Management Civil Protection Act that the Emergency Management Control Group review the plan annually, and then that plan in turn gets reviewed by council, and the changes are presented for you. There's no requirement to change any bylaws at this point. The changes in the legislation here are all within the governance of the plan as it exists. So unless there's something really dramatically different that has to come back to council, that this is sort of a self-contained process. And this is just a presentation for your review. Recent changes in emergency management have come through the Emergency Management Office was under the Solicitor General's Department, Ministry of Solicitor General. It's now moved over to the Treasury Board, and that move was made to give it more teeth, more show, if you would like, more governance. And the Treasury Board is sort of the king of ministries, so it has money and it has influence. So that's why it's there. And since then, the Treasury Board has appointed a commissioner of emergency management in the province. It's the first time that position has been put in place, and that's in response to climate change, all the events that we're getting across. A lot of our ice storms, wind storms. We just have to watch the news and realize that a municipality gets devastated by some natural event. So the requirement to be prepared and to be practiced is really being raised in profile by emergency management. Okay, so I'll just get right into the recommendations of the plan. I trust you've seen the package, and okay. So the first change that we made this year is to remove the 911 printouts. And the 911 printout was a list of all the addresses in the municipality. We're really not sure why that was in there. I think it was for reference for evacuation for a lot of those things. But those 911 database is available electronically. It doesn't really add value in in an emergency, in a situation that people need to respond to right away. When the EOEC is set up, we have computer access. We can get those roll calls, and the police have access to a lot of that data anyway. So the second one was a lot of the plan was from historically done by hand. There was hand-drawn maps. That's been replaced with a CGIS printout, but more than just replacing it, it is adopting the use of CGIS in terms of a database, a very powerful tool, and it allows us to coordinate between spatially recognizing where things are on a map, and it can be shared with fire department, first responders, EMS. Everybody has access to this. I believe it's provincial in governance, and it's a great tool. There's a lot of power to it. So we're going to use that rather than a hand-drawn map, quite simply. The next change was around the emergency response committee and our group. And recently the easy for me to say, Emergency Management Office has made a few changes in part of the governance and part of their legislation. And one of those changes was that the emergency control group has to be trained annually. So there's 5 key information pieces that needs to be reviewed with the emergency control group, so they're kept current as things happen, as things change. And in our previous plan, we had our local participants, but we also had a list of people like the North Bay Medical Officer of Health. We had the CAO of the DSAB. We had authorities, representatives from the railroad. We had Hydro One and so on. The training requirement to train everybody annually with those people on the list made it logistically almost impossible, because we'd have to bring them here, train them, and then record that, and that would be our, it's a compliance issue. So we couldn't do that. So what I've done is I've made a list of, our emergency control group has been pared down to our local representatives, with the option of adding representatives as we see fit. So if we have an electrical issue, we'll bring in a Hydro One representative. If we have a railroad issue, we'll bring in OVR. So that's kind of, it wasn't a choice. We had to do this to be compliant. So, but it is a great way to reduce our administrative load in terms of training people. The next item is reduce the number of book holders to the plan. Our current number of book holders, we have 32 plans out there in circulation. Some positions have multiple copies. It's a nightmare to manage. It's not a controlled document, and that's the other thing I'd like to see changed, and we're advocating here, is that it becomes a controlled document. So reduce the number of documents, make it a controlled managed system for document control. So when something changes, an email goes out, the change goes out, I get an email back from the book holder saying I've made that change in my thing. So we know that everybody has a current copy. In the event of emergency, everybody's working with a common document. We would also, through the EOC, would keep several copies here. If police, EMS, or somebody shows up, we've got a copy to give them. So, but you know, the administrative burden of 32 copies in a controlled document system, simply a nightmare, right? Post the non-confidential portions of the ERP on the website. So many municipalities, and I think you have that in your package, just the non-confidential part is what our plan is, the core of the plan. It doesn't include names and numbers. It doesn't include our high-risk assessment. It doesn't include our critical infrastructure. Those are very confidential and sensitive pieces of information. So we don't post that, but we have it here in our plan. But the non-confidential part is on the website, and I believe the posting of that and posting of other materials on our website will sort of enhance public awareness. They get to read it, they get to understand that we do have a plan in place that should something happen. And I think that's a good foundation for public awareness, and we'll build on that, right? Here's the plan, and here's all the good things around it. Having a 72-hour plan to sustain your family in a power outage, knowing what practice emergency escape routes, all those good things about emergency preparedness, and that's one of the tenets of the new legislation, is to make sure that the plan is practiced. So that's a newer focus, and I mean it's always been there, but it's more emphasized now than it's ever been. The next item is appoint an emergency information officer who's not a member of mayor or council. This has come out of legislation as well in the emergency management office. Their direction is to have somebody, either an employee of the municipality or somebody else that's not in a governance position. They want somebody who's plugged into it, like the CAO, like a deputy clerk. Some municipalities have public relations officers. So it just, the preference is to have one of those people speak to the issue. And that doesn't preclude mayor and council from saying things or being in the public eye. It just sort of, the emergency information officer has a keen and particular focus on the emergency at hand. And his job is to make sure that information gets out in a clear and credible way related to the emergency. All the other stuff and support from mayor and council is greatly appreciated and not to be diminished in any way. Okay. The next item I had was expand and enhance the collaboration between emergency management and the fire department. Currently, we kind of work in silos, and that relationship stands the opportunity to build and build on synergies. We both have public relations requirements in our plans and under our legislation. We both have to be practiced. We both keep data on events. So I think the synergies really bear fruit if we could align our two agencies to work together and in a programmed way. And you know, the fire department currently has very little training or application of the IMS system, which is critical in an emergency event. So, for example, I'll give you an example of where synergies could be held. Emergency management can provide periodic training on IMS with respect to terminology, positions in it, in the EOC and so on. And we could really use the fire department's input into our EOC, into our emergency response plan and so on. So it is really a relationship that needs to be built on and fostered. And finally, what do I need from you? I'm seeking a resolution from council approving the 2023 emergency response plan as revised. So with that, if there's any questions, I'll leave it to you.
Any question? No?
Hold on.
Okay,
Thank you, Alan.
thank you.
We have a resolution further on. Yeah,
Thank you.
okay, thank you. Next, we have minutes and reports from the municipal committees and boards. And we have the Planning Advisory Board. We did have a meeting. No motions from the meeting, no.
No.
But did you want to?
Sure. So yeah, we had a meeting March 7th to really start looking at our official plan and potential areas of focus for our upcoming official plan amendments and changes and updates. So what is probably most important from that is to let everybody know that the first open house is April 6th, Thursday, April 6th. It's a drop-in between 6 and 8 p.m. At the community center. So all are welcome to come, and you can have a conversation about anything within the official plan or the zoning bylaws that are of concern to you as the public, and it would be a great opportunity to start engaging in that process. So
Thank you.
thank you.
Fire department,
We haven't had a meeting.
okay. Recreation and fitness, we have two motions.
Yeah.
Moved by Councillor Clark, seconded by Councillor McGuinness. Whereas the Recreation and Fitness Committee recommends to council to accept the 2023 Recreation and Fitness Committee budget as submitted, and that it be referred to the General Government and Finance Committee. Be it hereby resolved that council approves of this recommendation. All in favor? Carried. Moved by Councillor McGuinness, seconded by Councillor Clark. Whereas the Recreation and Fitness Committee recommends to council to purchase the fireworks display for Canada Day in the amount of $3,800, taxes included. Be it hereby resolved that council approves of this recommendation. All in favor? Any comments? I should have said first. I'm just saying Canada Day. We're moving our summer along.
Mhm.
Carried. And library?
Yes, I was not at the meeting. They did meet on March 6th, and from the minutes, it looks like they reviewed policies. So every year, I guess they go through, make sure that the policies are up to date, and that's what they were doing.
Okay, thank you. Nothing general government. Police Services Board, we have not had our meeting. It's the 22nd. Yes. Emergency management.
Nothing new to
You
add.
already gave it to us. And Public Works, we have 5 motions from Public Works. Moved by Councillor Clark, seconded by Councillor McGuinness. Whereas the Public Works Committee recommended to council that bylaw number 2015-31, being a bylaw to decrease the rate of speed of motor vehicles, be repealed, And whereas a bylaw be prepared in draft form for the next Police Services Board meeting, and whereas the new bylaw will implement, unless otherwise posted, the speed limit will be 60 kilometers per hour, as well as describing a new school zone speed limit of 40 kilometers per hour, and any other speed limit changes deemed necessary, and that the bylaw be presented to council for a first reading, and furthermore, that the first reading of the bylaw initiate a notice to be sent to the residents of Bonfield by mail before the passing of the bylaw. Be it hereby resolved that council approves of this recommendation. Any comments?
No.
All in favor? Carried. Next, we have moved by Councillor McGuinness, seconded by Councillor Clark. Whereas the Public Works Committee has begun budgeting for capital planning for 2023 road work, and whereas the Public Works Committee recommends to council that the Public Works Manager engage the township engineer to begin preparing a tender to execute on the approval of the capital budget for the following projects: Development Road, Railway Street, and Pine Lake Road gravel, and furthermore, that the following projects be added to the capital budget for consideration by council. Be it hereby resolved that council approves of this recommendation. Any comments?
I have one question here, Dan. Development Road, we're just talking about finishing the ditching and those couple culverts that need to be replaced, right?
I don't get that census from the committee in totality.
That's kind of what I thought we were going for.
That would be a discussion at the capital budget, possibly, when it's discussed for approval.
Okay. All in favor? Carried. Moved by Councillor McGuinness, seconded by Councillor Clark. Whereas the Parks and Recreation Department purchased new hockey nets for the rink, and whereas Ecole Lorraine has an interest in acquiring the old hockey nets, and whereas the Public Works Committee recommends to council that the old hockey nets be donated to Ecole Lorraine, be it hereby resolved that council approves of this recommendation. Any, all in favor? Moved by Councillor Clark, seconded by Councillor McGuinness. Whereas the Public Works Committee has been working on a proactive approach on waste diversion from entering the landfill, and whereas the Public Works Committee recommends to council to move to a clear bag system and to not permit recyclable materials from entering the landfill, and that an education program commence to alert the residents of Bonfield of upcoming changes. And furthermore, that bylaw number 9703 be repealed in its entirety. Be it hereby resolved that council approves of this recommendation. Any comments? All in favor? Carried. Moved by Councillor Featherstone, seconded by Councillor Corbett. Whereas the Public Works Committee recommends to council that all proceeds from the LCBO bottle returns from the landfill site be given to the Parks and Recreation Department for future revenue use. Be it hereby resolved that council approves of this recommendation. Any comments? All in favor? Carried. That's it for the motions. So then we'll have reports from non-municipal committees and boards. There's nothing from Phenom and Conservation Authority.
Yeah, we had a special meeting on March 8th, basically just to discuss the land acquisition. So we did that online. And I thought I sent the minutes for that, but maybe I didn't. I can tonight then. We can add it in for the next one.
Okay, thank you. Castle Home, we don't have anything with that. Bonnfield Nonprofit Seniors Housing,
Yes, we have a meeting scheduled for next Monday.
next Monday,
Yes,
the 20th.
the 20th, yeah. And I did drive by the site. It is going up very quickly, so it's,
Have you been there?
I haven't been in, but because the gates are always closed when I go. Am I allowed to go in? Like into the site?
I don't know.
I
You'd
don't
have
think,
to
I
ask.
yeah. I have
Probably
to have
not.
my hard hat and work boots on.
If
Yeah, I
you can go
guess-
through the day, I think they will, the site super will walk you through.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, I'll ask at the meeting next week as well, so get more information, but
I'm anxious.
yeah, I know.
Any notice of motion? No,
No, sorry.
okay. Introduction and consideration of bylaws. Moved by Councillor Featherstone, seconded by Councillor Corbett. Whereas council deems it expedient to pass 3 readings of the following bylaw at this session, be it hereby resolved that a bylaw to authorize the execution of an agreement with the North Bay and District Humane Society for the provision of animal control services in the township of Bonnfield be read a first, second, and third time, passed and numbered 2023-09, and that the said bylaw be signed by the mayor and clerk, sealed with the seal of the corporation, and be engrossed in the bylaw book. Any comments or questions? All in favor? Carried. Whoops. You'll date them.
Yes, I will.
Okay. Next, we have a bylaw for, to appoint a livestock valuer investigator. Moved by Councillor Featherstone, seconded by Councillor Corbett. Whereas council deems it necessary and expedient to pass 3 readings of the following bylaw at this session, be it hereby resolved that a bylaw to appoint an animal control officer and pound keeper be read a first, second, and third time, passed and numbered 2023-10, and that the said bylaw be signed by the mayor and clerk, sealed with the seal of the corporation, and be engrossed in the bylaw book. Any comment?
Is this a 24-hour or 7 days a week, or is it just Monday to Friday?
No, that's not what I read.
It's-
24/7.
It is 24/7.
Is it 24/7?
And the officer as well is 24/7, the other one, both of them, right? The pound
the pound
and
one.
the,
Oh,
The
that
Humane
they keep
Society,
the
yeah.
animals there.
Thank you.
Any other questions? No? All in favor? Carried. Next, we have first and second, third reading to appoint a weed control.
Item 8.3.
You're one ahead of yourself.
Yes.
You're reading the right one, but- No, it's the livestock evaluator. That one was the animal.
Item
control
8.3, your worship.
Oh, okay. Moved by Counselor Featherstone, seconded by Counselor Corbett. Whereas council deems it necessary and expedient to pass 3 readings of the following bylaw at this session, be it hereby resolved that a bylaw being a bylaw to enter into an agreement with Pauline Carmichael for wildlife compensation investigator services be read a first, second, and third time, passed in number 2023-11, and that the said bylaw be signed by the mayor and clerk, sealed with the seal of the corporation, and be engrossed in the bylaw book. Any questions?
Nope.
All in favor? Carried. Moved by Councillor Featherstone, seconded by Councillor Corbett. Whereas council deems it necessary and expedient to pass 3 readings of the following bylaw at this session, be it hereby resolved that a bylaw to appoint a weed control inspector be read a first, second, and third time, passed in number 2023-12, and the said bylaw be signed by the mayor and clerk, sealed with the seal of the corporation, and be engrossed in the bylaw book. Any comment? All in favor? Next, we have our disbursements. Moved by Councillor Featherstone, seconded by Councillor Corbett, that council approve the general accounts for the township of Bonfield as indicated in the disbursement report dated March the 14th, 2023, in the amount of $704,325.59. Any question? All in favor? Carried. Then we're moving into correspondence and information. Do we have a resolution to adopt the emergency plan?
Yes.
Moved by Councillor Corbett, seconded by Councillor Clark, that the Community Emergency Management Program Committee will cause the emergency management program to be reviewed annually and to recommend changes to the program as considered appropriate and refer recommendations to council for further review and approval. Any question? All in favor? Carried. And next. Okay. Moved by Counselor Featherstone, second by Counselor Corbett. Whereas Section 284 of the Municipal Act 2001 SO 2001, Chapter 25 as amended, requires that the treasurer of a municipality shall in each year on or before March 31st provide to the council of the municipality an itemized statement on remuneration and expenses paid in the previous year. Be it hereby resolved, the council for the corporation of the township of Bonfield accepts the 2022 statement of remuneration and expenses itemized for each member of council and members of local boards and committee as submitted. Any questions? All in favor? Carried. Moved by Councillor Featherstone, seconded by Councillor Corbett, that council direct staff effective immediately to enforce any and all applicable law for building permit applications and to rectify the matter of non-compliant uses of structures for human habitation effective immediately. Any comments? All in favor? Carried. Next, we have the report from the Public Works Manager retender for replacement of a 3-ton. Moved by Councillor Featherstone, seconded by Councillor Corbett. Whereas the 2007 GMC Top Kick will not pass safety in November 2023, and whereas the lead time for the purchase of new vehicle is 4 to 12 months, therefore the Public Works Manager recommends to council that the purchase of the replacement truck as well as appurtenances be tendered before the approval of the capital budget to prevent any gap in service, and that the tender be prepared and executed, and furthermore that the existing vehicle and appurtenances be declared surplus and sold. Any questions? All in favor? Carried. Next, okay. Moved by Councillor Featherstone, seconded by Councillor Corbett, that council adopt the municipal donations policy as shown on FT 001 for implementation in the 2024 operating budget. Will that be made known?
Yes, we will advise all our local organizations from Bonfield about the new policy and also remit them the application form when it's developed.
Okay, thank you.
So I just have a couple questions. So donations, maybe we can add to that because we've got sponsorships. Then we've got someone who's asking for a partnership. So I know donations probably will encapsulate all of the requests. So we have to just figure out a way to just say all of these requests that are coming in. Yes, thank you.
Susan, Corbett, Councillor Corbett.
Thanks, Your Worship. My question is pertaining to all applications or requests need to be in by, sorry, I'm just looking for the date now. I think it's December 30, yeah,
Yes.
December 31st.
December 31st.
Do we anticipate that being restrictive to, like, I'm concerned that actually it's taking almost too much ability away for council to react or be able to support any events that might happen mid-year, or, not everything is planned that far in advance, right? So
But there's an ad.
Counselor,
Yes.
if I may respond to that, there is a provision within that policy for exceptions, which will allow council on a case-by-case basis to evaluate
I had missed
any
that.
application that comes in after the normal operating budget cycle.
Perfect. Thank you. I had missed that.
So we're tying it to the budget, right? So we have X amount of dollars. That's what the plan is here for. So that I think is a great idea. Also, will there be sort of a checklist? So, is it local? Yes. Are other communities doing this? Yes. What is it? So-
Counselor, those items that you have just mentioned will be dealt with when the donation form is
Okay.
devised.
Excellent, thank you.
Okay. All in favor? Carry.
Zest.
Moved by Councillor Featherstone, seconded by Councillor Corbett, that the Corporation of the Township of Bonfield supports the municipality of East Ferris resolution passed at their February 28, 2023 meeting regarding their concerns with the application criteria for the construction funding subsidy by the Ministry of the Long-Term Care, and that a copy of this motion be provided to Ministry of Long-Term Care, Treasury Board, MPP Victor Fideli, and member municipalities. Any comments? All in favor? Carried.
Sorry, thank you.
Okay. For information. I guess I'll read each of these, and if there's any comments or support, there's one that you do have for support.
I do have a motion for the item 10.1 if council wishes to move forward with it. The other ones, if council wishes to support them, I'll bring them to the March 28 meeting.
Okay. All right. Moved by Councillor Featherstone, seconded by Councillor Corbett, that the council for the Township of Bonfield express its support for Bill 5, Stopping Harassment and Abuse by Local Leaders Act, which would require the code of conduct for municipal councillors and members of local boards to include a requirement to comply with workplace violence and harassment policies, and permit municipalities and local boards to direct the Integrity Commissioner to apply to the court to vacate a member's seat if the Commissioner's inquiry determines that the member has contravened this requirement. And further, that this resolution be circulated to the Honorable Doug Ford, Premier of Ontario, the Honorable Steve Clark, Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, the Honorable Stephen Black, Orleans MPP, and the Honorable Lisa Thompson, Huron Bruce MPP. Any comments? All in, comment?
Just wondering why we're not sending it to our local MPP.
Could we add that?
We can add this, yeah.
Yeah, I think that would be kosher.
I won't go back and read it. I'll just read what we've added. And the Honorable Victor Fideli, MPP for Nipissing. All in favor? Carried. Next, we have the Ministry of Natural Resources and Forestry proposed amendments to Public Lands Act. Any comments on that? I would like to refer that for support. That's to do with the
Item 10.2.
yeah.
Okay.
Regarding the use of floating accommodations and camping on water over public lands in Ontario. The next one, the municipality of Trent. I don't know. Any comments on that? No. The next one is the Nipis or North Bay Parry Sound District Health Unit. Call for higher social assistance rates due to food insecurity.
I'd like to see a motion on that.
You'd like to support it?
I would if.
10.4.
Refer for support.
Okay.
And then next we have the notice of open house, read the official plan and zoning bylaw update.
You need me to do something on this, other than,
Other than what you've given already?
yeah, I mean, I think I will take the opportunity to say that it is on April 6th. Thank you, your worship, from 6 to 8 PM. You can drop in and there'll be a flyer coming in your mail. So appreciate the opportunity.
We'll get it out there. And those are going out in the,
They were
Community.
delivered today.
Yeah.
Yeah, excellent.
Yes.
and you didn't go to Jerry's, I hope?
Nope.
No, because Sabrina gave me some to take to Jerry's and the post office.
And they should have been in the mailboxes today as well.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So word is out there and everybody will get a notice that
Yes.
the official plan is being reviewed. The next one is Out Loud North Bay sponsorship for opportunities. I also wasn't aware of that group.
So I went on their website just to get some more information. I'm not really sure what partnership means. Yeah, so, or what they're requiring of us. And a lot of the sponsors were corporate sponsors or local businesses. I didn't really see any municipal sponsors.
No,
Sorry, I'm pretty familiar with Out Loud. This is a new initiative that Seth is trying to bring far-reached townships and areas to his center. So he's trying to get funding to supply buses once or twice a week, so that kids that are from out of town can get to his center and access his resources, his programming.
are they just asking for financial support or other support as well?
I believe that's what they're asking for is to get the buses moving to bring kids in from outside communities.
I mean, it looks like they offer great things and it's a great organization. Do we have any statistics, like where they feel the need is, or, you know, how do we pull Bonfield, or, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I've had kids in my house that go to their programs, but we drive
Okay,
them
yeah,
back and forth,
yeah,
right?
yeah, okay.
I mean, until we see a budget this year, we should be just holding off on all these donations for right now until we see a budget. And maybe next year we can revisit it.
Okay, we won't require it then. Okay. Township of Harwick, motion of support re-Ontario school board elections. Can anybody support that? Or they're saying the school boards can pay for their own elections? You want to support that?
I'm saying they can pay for their own.
Well, I get it.
Yeah, does it matter? Like, it all comes out of the same kind of pot, other than administratively it's separated though, correct?
No,
So the school board, because we pay school taxes, do we not?
we pay school taxes. However, the elections all comes out of our general budget.
So we want
So-
our money back.
Well, yes, we do. And we would like them to run their own elections, because right now the onus is on staff
Okay,
for all of the expenses
we
and
want to see a motion.
Well, because if there's nobody, if there's, if this is council's, no one was running against us, you still have to you're still paying for all that, right? You're still
Yeah.
paying for the school board stuff.
yes.
Yeah.
So we would still have to have an election day if council had been acclaimed.
Right.
So then, yes, we are having to pay staff for the day and run a normal election
Mhm.
for election or for education purposes.
Yes,
I'll just say I am supportive of seeing a resolution come forward, but to Councilor Clark's point, I mean, it is a bit of a shell game only for the fact that it is still our taxpayers who get levied the school board fees, and so it gets collected as part of a tax bill, and we pass that on. So, they are from a ratepayer perspective, it will be this, well, probably an increase, quite frankly, because now you're duplicating what would be one set of staff doing it to two sets of staff now running elections. But again, I don't think that it's fair that the way that it's structured currently, so I'm not supportive of seeing it come forward, but we'll just be mindful of, I think Councilor Clark wasn't too far off the mark there.
okay, so we were for support.
Yes, I
and
will
then
bring it
that's-
back.
Council
Yep,
can
it's been recorded.
either
first.
vote for it or against it.
Okay,
Okay,
I'll bring it back to next council meeting.
all right. And then we're going to move
No, we have-
number 12 up.
Yes. So this is a motion that council asked to be brought forward from the last meeting.
This is a book. Okay, what about the back page? So that be,
Yes, that's included.
okay, so they just have to sign that.
Yes.
All right, be prepared. Moved by Councillor Featherstone and seconded by Councillor Corbett. The council support the resolution put forward by the town of Coburg and the municipality of Greenstone. Whereas the government of Ontario has enacted Bill 3, which is described as an act to amend various statutes with respect to special powers and duties of heads of council. And whereas the bill will initially apply to the city of Toronto and the city of Ottawa, but according to a statement made by the premier at the 2022 AMO annual conference, will later be expanded to include other municipalities. And whereas this will give mayors additional authority and powers and correspondingly take away authority and powers of councils from councils and professional staff, and will include giving the mayor the authority to propose and adopt the municipal budget and to veto some decisions of council. And whereas this bill will give authority over professional staff to the mayor, including that of the chief administrative officer. And whereas these changes will result in a reduction of independence for professional staff, including the COA, who currently provide objective information to the council and public and will not take direction from the mayor alone when the mayor so directs. And whereas these surprising and unnecessary changes to the historical balance of power between a mayor and council, and which historically gave the final say in all matters to the will of the majority of the elected council. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Council for the Corporation of the Township of Bonfield passes this resolution to petition the Government of Ontario that these changes to the Municipal Act 2001 are unnecessary and would negatively affect the Township of Bonfield, and that this Ontario government, if the Ontario government deems these changes necessary in large single-tier municipalities, such as Toronto and Ottawa, that such changes should not be implemented in smaller municipalities, and that the Ontario government should enact legislation clarifying the role of mayor, council, and chief administrative officer, similar to those recommended by the Ontario Municipality Administrators Association and those recommended by Justice Morocco in the Collingwood Judicial Inquiry of 2022. And that the stated goal of this legislation is to construct more housing in Ontario, that this can be accomplished through other means, including amendment of the Planning Act and funding of more affordable housing. Be it hereby resolved that a copy of this resolution be provided to the Premier of Ontario, the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, Lise Boje, MPP, Kevin Holland, MPP, and the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, and all municipalities in Ontario. Any comments?
Your Worship. Two, if I could. One, I'd like to add MPP Fidelity onto the list of, just out of respect for our local MPP, I think it's always important that we copy him on correspondence. Sorry, I have my pen right. And additionally, not presupposing how you are going to be voting on this, but I wonder if it would garner more weight if it was a recorded vote or somehow expressed as a unanimous vote, that it wasn't just the will of the council and the mayor, that, you know, that we are just all upset because they're taking our powers away, versus if you also support this, it probably actually adds more weight knowing that the mayor is also supportive of the petitioning the provincial government. So
Okay, so we can have it a recorded vote?
Yes, so
Okay.
I will just. So Councillor Corbett, you would like to request a recorded vote?
I would.
Councillor Clark, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councillor Corbett,
Yes.
Councillor Featherstone,
Yes.
Councillor McInnes,
Yes.
Mayor Paquette,
Yes.
the motion is carried. I'll just get you to.
I'll just give that to you.
I just want to, that MPP Vic Fideli was added to this,
Yes,
and I will sign it as carried.
Yes.
yeah.
thank you. You have the top sheet?
Okay, is there a top sheet there, Your Worship?
Oh, thank you. Didn't give it all to you. Okay, now we have to go in camera.
Yes, so
and
I
there's a
will,
Motion,
CAO Salentano will look after this. I will stop the recording. I will lock the doors, and CAO Salentano will take over as the clerk for the rest of the meeting.
okay.
Okay?